last week was quite the week, wasn't it? If you live in the US and you are a US citizen, last week was either a joyous, celebratory moment in which the candidate you supported was elected into office for the second time. A pretty rare occurrence, in fact. It's incredibly rare for a former US president to be re-elected to office with a gap in the middle. It's only happened a few times. It's also the first time in US history that a convicted felon was elected into office. But both by the Electoral College and by the popular vote, again, the first time in a really long while that the popular vote and the Electoral College agreed, former President Donald Trump was elected to become the 47th President of the United States. And come the end of January next year, he will be back at the White House. The news of the election result, I'm sure, has reverberated very loudly around the world. But in our world, here in the world of cleaner, greener, safer and smarter vehicles, there is a split, a schism. On one side, people who are fearful of what will happen when tariffs are set into motion on every vehicle that will come in from overseas, regardless of where it comes from. Not just Chinese import tariffs, but tariffs full stop. Tariffs that will make it more expensive to buy a car that wasn't made in the US. That means any brand that isn't being made right now in the US will cost you more. Whether it's gasoline or electric, it's a protectionist step that is ultimately going to tax the consumer, you and I. Or perhaps you are worried about changes to environmental policy in the US. I know I am. Pulling out of the Paris Climate Accord, again. Changing environmental policies. Gutting NOAA, getting rid of the EPA, and getting rid of other government agencies designed to protect the planet on which we live, to make smart, scientifically informed decisions about how we live in this world together. They're all, at least if the threats are true, going to be gutted. At the time of filming this on Friday evening, I don't know for sure whether the US House has been called. Earlier today, it was a toss-up as to whether Democrats or Republicans were going to be in control. But Republicans control the Senate, and they will control the White House. And if they also gain control of the House, then, well, there will be a very easy path for legislative efforts to try and remove and change anything that the current or the future leading party doesn't like. And we know from past experience that many Republicans are backed by the fossil fuel industry. We know that many Democrats have also been backed by the fossil fuel industry. We've made videos on this channel about it before. But I think it's fair to say that we're going to see more fossil fuel drill baby drill type scenarios. We're going to see a removal of EV tax subsidies. We're going to see a removal of incentives designed to encourage citizens to pick solutions that are cleaner and greener and better for their wallet and their future. And some people, including Tesla CEO Elon Musk would argue that all of these subsidies should be reduced to zero and there should not be any, and that the free market will decide. Yeah, in an ideal world, if technology was not more expensive, young technology was not more expensive, that wouldn't be a problem. But we're still in our early days of battery technology and solar technology, and there are so many things coming to market so quickly that economies of scale haven't necessarily kicked in yet. And by removing forward-thinking policies that help remove that sharp edge, we could see a backward step. And that scares me, and I know it scares many of you too. I am worried that automakers who, let's face it, haven't always been super happy-clappy about EVs are going to go back to what makes them money. Fossil fuels, big, gas-guzzling SUVs. We know for the last decade, while EV sales have gone up, pollution from fossil fuel cars have also gone up because more people are buying gas-guzzling SUVs instead of smaller, more fuel-efficient vehicles. It's not even about EVs versus ICE. It's about big versus bigger. I can't stand here today and tell you that it's all going to be all right. As a trans person, as a member of the LGBTQIA+ community, I am scared for my future and for my siblings' future. There are many people I know who are running scared. And there are many people who are joyously making threats in the comments section, telling me how I'm going to be deported to a concentration camp and tortured and shot and killed and deported because I'm not a true American because I wasn't born here. That's their problem, not mine. In the same way, this election and these election results don't mean that we have to be forced back to gas guzzlers or fossil fuel cars. We have to look inside ourselves and pick what we want our future to be like. Sure, legislatively, it might be now harder in the future to buy a new EV. It might be harder in the future to make a decision about your future that is cleaner and greener and safer and smarter. But pester power, market pressures, they all exist and they will continue to exist. If a vehicle is the right price, people will buy it. And as BMW, I think this week, one of its executives noted, EVs will continue to exist. Just think about the amount of money that the EV industry has spent on building EVs. Sure, some startups will flounder and die. I have no doubt of that. The history books are already a graveyard of EV startups that many of you will never have heard of. Coda is one of them. Came and went. The situation wasn't right. But big auto, legacy auto, yes, they will continue to produce their gas-guzzling SUVs. But the amount of money that some of them have ploughed into EVs is at a point now where I choose to believe that they need that return on investment. And all it takes is one car company somewhere else in the world to beat them up and take their lunch money, and they will be there to compete. Remember, Tesla started off as an American car company, an American startup, automakers responded to Tesla's influence in the automotive market, not just in America, but globally. If we look at the options available to us elsewhere in the world and we say, yeah, well, American automakers won't bother. They will. They'll notice. They'll pay attention. Sure, the US auto market is big. It's not as big as China. And China is heavily investing in EVs right now. Europe is pushing towards EVs, even though some countries are trying to rescind those goals. It takes more than one finger to stop an avalanche, and it takes more than one government or one wannabe dictator to stop the advancement of green and clean tech. So have hope. I can't tell you what the future is going to be. Yes, Donald Trump's policies and promises on EVs have been bad. Yes, I fully expect them to unfairly bias towards Tesla because he's promised Elon Musk a role in the federal government. That means there's a conflict of interest. Whichever way you look at it, there is a conflict of interest and it will be taken advantage of. That's for them and their conscience, not us and our conscience. If we want our world to be cleaner, greener, safer and smarter, we can continue to make it so through our actions, through our mindfulness, and through our adherence to our own values. I've been talking to friends a lot lately about countercultures and how if you are somebody who wants renewable energy and clean green vehicles and sustainable transportation and equitable transportation and access for all and a future where all are lifted, not just the wealthy, you are now part of the counterculture. Congratulations. Brush up on your counterculture tech. Learn about open source communities. Take a coding course. Learn how open source works. Join a community program. Volunteer, whether it's your local soup kitchen or your local EVA. Get involved in your community because communities build relationships, relationships build networks, and networks can do amazing things. If you're at home and you're feeling distraught and scared, and you wonder if you are ever going to exist beyond tomorrow, or the day after, or the day after that, I understand. I've been there. Sometimes I still go back there. But as the Borg are so very, very fond of saying, resistance is futile. And I think what we've had, what we've experienced, what we know can't be just swept under the rug, can't just be removed by someone in power. We are greater than that. Get involved. Build communities. Be the change.